A special broadcast here on the Morning Live weekend edition. I'm Sakina Kamweno, Leanne Manners here, of course, and we're focusing today on the funeral of the former Deputy President, David Mabuza.
All right, your sign language interpreters, just to introduce them again, Fortune Matlala and Mpoteme. We've been on air since 5:30 this morning. We've been watching and monitoring and seeing the process of the day, and I think one of the most moving moments, of course, was inside the house and the residence of the former president, where the family and, of course, the top dignitaries of the ANC were there for that handover of the family to the state, so that official Category 2 Level 1 funeral can take place.
And these are live visuals now outside the home of the Deputy President, where the family, of course, had their final moments with the remains of the late Deputy President, and the remains lying in repose in the family home overnight. And we saw earlier on the ANC doing their ceremony, whereby they handed over the ANC flag to the family. And of course, what we're seeing now is the official part of the funeral, which has now been taken over by the South African National Defence Force.
Yes, indeed, and an emotional time for everybody involved, certainly, but one can only pay our feelings and respects to the family that are going through this. A very young life, 64 years old, 65 almost, in fact, because I know that his birthday was in August. So,
yes,
you know, a young life with all being said, and we see the cars now starting to move. Tumelo is outside there, Tumelo Machogo. He's standing by, he's watching. Tumelo, talk to us about this, a very solemn moment, this.
Well, Leanne, the first van there that you see in front there is carrying the body of the late former Deputy President David Mabuza, now leaving his home for the final time, heading now to the funeral service that is going to be held at Bergvlam High School. Earlier on, we saw the ANC inside, the ANC chairperson Gwede Mantashe, the ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula, ANC NEC members, and also ministers also inside there, where they actually handed over the flag of the ANC to the family of the Mabuza. And then the body was then handed over to the military. Now the military has taken over the body. Now it's in the hand of the state. And the body now is expected to leave at any moment now. Here we go. The first van that you see there on your screen is carrying the body of David Mabuza. He's now heading towards Mbombela, where he will be a funeral service will be held, and he will lie in state. The funeral service is expected to start around 9 o'clock. It will begin with the Mpumalanga Premier and ANC and chairperson Mandla Ndlovu. The coffin is also followed by the family members, including Mabuza's wife and children. You saw them at the memorial service speaking fondly of their father, saying that he was a strict man, but also very fair. I'm also sporting in one of the van, you know, his bodyguard for many years when he was still the premier of Mpumalanga to when he was then the deputy president of the country. Either evidence of this political now, any moment we're expecting now this traffic to start going. We understand that this road that now the cars are on is called the R38 road. It has already been blocked off and closed off for traffic to allow this. There is the body of the deputy president now leaving and going to Mbombela. It's about 30 to 45 minutes drive from here to Mbombela to the Bergvlam War School, where the funeral service is going to be held. Now there you have the families, the family of Mabuza now. They are in these cars. Now they are also leaving to join the funeral service that is going to be held at Bergvlam War School. In that vehicle, we spotted the children. In one of the vehicles that he's just passed by, I spotted one of the children, Angel. She was also at the memorial service and spoke about her father, saying that the father was loved his tea rather. There is the families, and now they are all leaving, and the relatives now leaving to the funeral service that is going to be held at Mbombela at Berglam World School. The R36 road has already been closed. The R40, which now they will connect to going into Mbombela, would also be closed at this hour. And the N4 will also be closed for traffic to allow them to go. These are the buses now that are carrying community members and also ANC members. They are all heading to Mbombela for the funeral service that is going to be held at World School Bergflam. Leanne? All right, now the people that are going to attend the funeral, now they're heading towards Mbombela to Bergflam World School. That's where we found my colleague Mfundo and Tulasizwe.
Thank you very much, Tumelo. Indeed, those are the visuals of the funeral procession headed to World School Bergflam here in Mbombela. But of course, Lasiso, we're not alone. We're now joined by the SANDF's Admiral Prince Shabalala to just talk us through the role of the military, given that this is a Category 2 state funeral, of course, Level 1. Good morning, Admiral. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning to the viewers of SABC.
Yeah, Admiral, so we're looking at the visuals as the cortege is making its way, coming from Barberton, coming up to Mbombela, where the official funeral service will actually take place. One thing I noticed, and I think maybe let's start there, they are moving apace in terms of the speed at which they are moving. Did you have to adapt what you ordinarily would have done, for instance, around the role of the gun carrier, which plays a central role in a state funeral such as this?
Yes. Tulasizwe, this one will be slightly different from what we usually do. This is influenced by the distance, taking cognizance that Barberton is quite far. I think my colleague mentioned that it was 45 kilometers from where we are. It was then significant that at least we augment by using a hash. Normally would have been a gun carriage that would have then taken the deceased from home through the gun carriage to where we are. But because of the distance, we decided that we use the hash to augment that distance. You will see as they come closer, almost about 2-3 kilometers away from this venue, then the military will then form up and have a street lining. That street lining will then be symbolizing that the official military funeral is now commenced from this side.
Yeah.
The first phase was when the sergeant majors draped the deceased with the national flag. Mm-hmm. That was then symbolizing now that the body has been handed over to the state, meaning that it is now the military procession. As you can see with the visuals here, the distance and the timing has been well rehearsed. I think for the last 2 days, the SNDF has been rehearsing to time to ensure that the deceased arrived here on a time that has been taken to coincide with a program that has been laid out. So from there, you will see when they've arrived, when the street lining has been formed, the commander-in-chief by then would have then be expected to have assembled at a certain point with the chief SNDF as well. Once the body has been carried, pallbearers and the bearers will then take over and usher the deceased inside this makeshift tent. Then it shall be continuing then with the other stages.
Before we get to the other stages, we also heard that there will be one aspect that many have been wanting to know of. We know that ordinarily we would have the 21 gun salute, but in this instance we understand it will be a 19 gun salute.
Yes.
Talk us through that.
Yeah, the 19 gun salute is accorded. Only the state president may be afforded. In fact, it is actually the ceremonial book. It calls that the state president is afforded the 21 or any person of importance which the president may deem so much important that they are afforded a level 1 category. That means that the category is prerogative to make a decision to say there will be a 21 gun salute in terms of our ceremonial book. In this instance, the ceremonial book does not say what volleys of shots should be afforded to the deputy president. But because it is one of our very first kind, then we had to augment the book to afford a well-dignified state military funeral, which then will mean that 19, the president will then authorize a 19 volley shots to be fired.
In fact, while you're on that point, it's also significant, is it not, Admiral Chabalala, that in terms of the experience at state funeral level, we don't have much experience since democracy. We've had many, many official funerals. And that distinction is important, is it not? Talk to us about that distinction.
Yes. For example, many of would say category 2 without really, and I'm very impressed that this morning you did clarify that category 2 is normally a provincial level. That's where now you get South African police services playing a meaningful role rather than the military. But once you bring the military in the fore, that means it's category level 2 or with level 1. Even in category 1, there's various levels as well involved. So in this instance, it's category 2, level 1, meaning it's got its military presence as well. But if it was category 2 as it is, it would have then become a provincial state funeral, like we have seen so many happening.
So if we had to delve deeper into that distinction, because there still are, as Tula Sizwe does state, that many, we don't in democratic South Africa have a lot of experience when it comes to state funerals. But if we had to just delve deeper and give that distinction, we have the state funeral, we have the official funeral, and you're also making that distinguishing element that this being a level 1 would have those military elements, the military honors. Just share a bit more on just those military elements. They will be lining up here, and then what happens beyond that point?
Like I already indicated, that there will be a straight lining of soldiers that come from all services and divisions, meaning there will be Army, Air Force element, Navy element, as well as the military health services element, all lining up to receive the body. Now, then you will see the presence of the commander of the SNDF, Chief SNDF himself, being present, accompanied by 4 service chiefs who are 3-star generals. Then the funeral itself will be officiated by a chaplain general. That then meaning that it got this status of a military presence.
All right. Admiral, we've got to thank you for enlightening us on these aspects.